DNI.
As an MEP, I deal with constituency issues on a daily basis, issues where EU law affects their daily lives either directly or indirectly. I'm here to tell you that there is one deeply flawed law that, above all others, damages British life and puts our lives in daily peril. It is the Human Rights Act. It is a rotten law that Britain loathes. Human rights are worth protecting, and I am vocal in the protection of human rights. The human rights, however, was created in Britain by the Labour Party, who, despite warnings, were reckless as to the consequences. However, this EU-backed and soon-to-be enshrined law is now routinely and regularly abused by those who can cause havoc in civil society. Terrorists, criminals and illegal immigrants, with and without cats. More often than not, judges who apply human rights law decide that those rights trump those of the majority decent, honest, hard-working British people. In the case of Abu Qada, that is attracting media attention, human rights law, by allowing Qatada to dodge deportation to Jordan, has inflamed the British public. Simply, the Court of Human Rights leaves Britain unable to defend its interests. In a recent survey, 75% of British people think that the Act should be scrapped altogether. It is the Lisbon Treaty that allows the EU to sign up to the ECHR, which further imprisons the British public, who never got a chance to say no to a referenda. Let me tell you, the British public are shouting loud, no to the human rights law. Release us from these shackles.
Would Ms Sinclaire take a correction? Sadly, the British Labour Party did not invent human rights. They introduced the Human Rights Act, which gave the British public the right for British courts to intervene in these matters. And would she agree with me that if the UK took her line and withdrew from the European Union, the rest of Europe would breathe a sigh of relief?
Not as much a sigh of relief as the British public would Mr Cashman. Look, it was, yes, I agree with you. The human rights, the Convention on Human Rights was actually wrote by British lawyers in the early 1950s, and it was the Labour Party that signed the Human Rights Act, which enshrined into British law, and that was in 1998 and came into being in 1999. But what that did is actually empowered every court, from the minutiae court up to our Supreme Court, no longer House of Lords, to imply these human rights acts, and the judges have taken political jurisprudence. They have not gone along with the public or the elected government, and that has to be wrong. In a democracy, it should be the will of the people that reigns supreme. And if you talk about human rights, Mr Cashman, I want to point out one Labour politician, our High Representative Cathy Ashton, a Labour Party carrying member, who refuses to do anything about corrective rapes of lesbians in Palestine. That's a disgrace.